Welcome to DrivenMavens.com. My name is Arvind, and today I'm just going to sort of wing the post, changing it up a little bit. What we're going to do is just to sketch with a Sharpie marker. So I ditched the digital tools, and I get a lot of people who are asking me what program and software am I using. And the point I want to make about this particular video is the fact that don't concentrate probably too much on the software and stuff, because the software is just a tool, and the main thing that you want to get a little bit more proficient in is to be able to draw by pen and pencil, or with pen and paper. In fact, if you decide to go to a good design school, that's how pretty much everything starts out. Is all your ideation and your sketching is going to happen pretty much on pencil and paper, and sometimes you don't even have time to go in and render the whole stuff, especially when you get into industry. In fact, most of the time when you get into industry, you'll start using digital tools, but they all really depend mostly on your analog skills. So I'm just going to loosen up here. I'm just drawing some lines here just to get the little bit of intimidation factor. Even I get a little bit intimidated. I'm going to stop this camera from moving. There we go. But even as I start to draw it, don't really have anything in particular in mind. Best way to do it is just start sketching. So I'm going to put down an ellipse. I'm going to draw the other ellipse here. I'm going to draw my minor axes, and then I'm going to draw about 3 wheel spacing. So that's going to end up maybe around here is what I'm thinking. Okay, so that gives me pretty much what I'm looking for as far as the overall length of the vehicle. Now I'm going to draw in my centerline section here. I don't really have a particular shape in mind. Now, this is pretty interesting about sketching in general, is that a lot of people love to see these fancy looking sketches that when you look at it from a practical standpoint, they don't really make that much sense. You'll have windshields that are really low, proportions seem kind of weird, but I think what you should kind of get out of some of this stuff is that as people are drawing like this, the main thing about drawing this way is really to give your sketch a little bit more of a dynamic look. I mean, if you start drawing things so accurately, then it sort of loses its punch and visual interest. So for that reason, what people typically do is to really exaggerate the forms. They know it's not correct, but it's just fun. And that's all you're trying to do, is create some cool looking sketches that look a lot of fun and they have a lot of movement, and you're not really too concerned about a feasible looking design that kind of meets all the criteria. And that's what you essentially do anyway at the beginning of a design related project, is that you're just exploring. You really don't care about how feasible something is. It's what you call kind of playing in the sandbox. Because all you're trying to do, if you think about it, is just try to come up with some interesting shapes. And from those, you're going to really draw hundreds of these sketches. You're not going to stick with one. You're going to do as many as you can. So I indicate the headlamps there in the front. Now you notice I'm using really just one stroke. I'm steadying my lines, I'm not laboring over anything, and this actual process as I work through something like this, don't fool yourself, it takes a lot of time. I see a lot of sketches out there that are actually, people submit some things to me on my blog and they want me to check it out to see whether they're nailing proportions and things like that, and I'm pretty impressed actually. Some of the sketches that I receive are pretty decent because they may not have the full technique of controlling your line weight, but at least the some of the proportions and the things that they're trying to accomplish are there, and that's pretty encouraging. On all the other stuff, bear in mind they're all going to take a little bit more time to nail down and to master. Gonna work on this rear wheel here. I gotta tell you one thing, that these ellipses are by far the most difficult things to nail down. You're going to get frustrated when you first start this, and of course every time we may do it, or designers, when we do it, it looks pretty easy. It doesn't look particularly difficult, but bear in mind you're seeing so many hours that have gone into trying to perfect the very craft of trying to nail down your line weight and your ellipses. And essentially what you're doing is converting yourself into a machine to some extent. Your arm has a pivot point right at the top of your shoulder, right, and you're extending out all the time, and that's what you're trying to nail down. You're trying to be able to get that exercise in, so that your arms and all your other muscles in your body, as you're working with sketching, get used to that motion. And that's what's going to bring about overall maturity in your stroke. And I got to say, I like this. This is really fun to do. I know I teach a lot of my other stuff online using Painter. Painter software is really fantastic. It's come such a long way. We're going to get a little shadow here that's caused by the spokes. And that sort of defines what we're getting here for your tire, I'm sorry, your wheel spokes. You know what, I'm filming these videos here. It's actually at nighttime, and I hate doing this because every time at night when I'm drawing, my voice gets real gruff, raspy, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's good that you don't want to hear me talk. I don't know. Alright, so now I'm just going to add the core reflection that's going to come through here. This is just the graphic of the fog lamp. And one thing I want you to understand as you're doing this stuff, as you're practicing, do not get overly complicated, okay? You try to do too many things at the beginning. The biggest problem that I see with people who are trying to learn this stuff is really mainly the fact that they're trying to learn too much, and they're learning too much, and as a result, they don't learn certain aspects of drawing execution and basics really well because they're busy trying to learn a lot of the complicated things, and they haven't really learned the simple stuff. Now, that's not to say that you don't draw anything or you don't draw any cars, but you have to balance it out. You have to make sure that you're doing both, and that you're dedicating a good amount of time with those basics. The foundations are really key, and I'd have to say I was really terrible at this. I was never paying attention to the foundation stuff, and I would always skip to trying to do all the complicated stuff, and it was a big mistake because I wasn't getting the results. And hopefully, as I'm explaining some of these stuff, explaining these things, that it starts to connect with some of you. And this is just fun. That's the whole idea with all this, is to enjoy what you're doing. Okay. All right. I think that's really about it. We'll just add some little detailing here with the reflection. Some little random shapes that are being caught from the outside, some trees or whatever. That's just how you indicate that. Not much you can really do when you're doing it with a Sharpie. Okay, and really that's pretty much it. Maybe I'll just define this character line a little bit more. If you notice that these character lines, they add this sort of a graphical element to the card. This gives it an extra bit of visual interest. And what you see now with cars today is that they are moving more toward a very sculptural look to it. Pretty aggressive styling, and it's really pretty refreshing. I think before cars were kind of looking the same. In fact, they're all kind of looking still the same because now everybody's doing the sculpted look. So okay. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this and that you guys have had a terrific New Year holiday. So we'll see you next time on dripmavens.com. Have a good one.